Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Red and Black Wrestling Show. I'm joined by another special guest, another Red Raider. It's been a takeover for the Red Raiders this month so far. We got William Wortkoetter, heavyweight out of St. Francis. Thank you so much for being able to join us on the show today.
And thank you.
Of course, of course, of course. Um, and we talked about it a little bit on a few other episodes. Even when I got to speak to the coaches last night, we did the episode with Coach Lorenz, Coach Catrabone, Coach Luzinski. We had most of the coaches on the episode, which was a lot of fun. We were talking a bit about like the loaded schedule that you guys had. Um, the camaraderie that you guys had, a whole lot of talking points. You guys were a big talking point for most of the episode yesterday. Um, you guys had a standout year, back-to-back state champions as a team. A few of you guys managed to capture the chip by yourselves. Um, let's kind of take it all the way back to the beginning. How did you initially find your way into the sport of wrestling?
Yeah, it's a really funny story. My journey is long, weird, all over the place. So, I live in the middle of nowhere. So, I live in a small town called Wilson, New York. It's about an hour north of St. Francis, which I drive every morning back and forth. But yeah, so there was a little local club by me, Newfane, which they've had some stud wrestlers come throughout time. And yeah, I started there. I think I maybe wrestled for like half a year when I was little with my older brother. And he said, I don't like it. I'm done. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm done too, because you're done. So then I started playing like little loop soccer and football, and it just wasn't enough for me. Like I was always a bigger kid, like taller, stronger, like bigger than everybody else. And I had like always this pent up aggression where I just needed to let it out somehow. And first it started with just me and I've got an older and a younger brother, and we just beat the crap out of each other all the time. So my parents put me with another local club, a little bit bigger in Newport. Wrestled there until like middle school ish, and I won I don't know a couple of Nine-Way state championships. It's the youth state championships there, and then like from there I moved up, wrestled, started getting with high school wrestling, so I didn't wrestle as much club at Wilson, my old school, and that's where I really got into the freestyle off season wrestling and all that stuff. That's where I met Coach Hart through the club, the KD6 stuff, Griffin LaPlante's barn, wrestling with them guys. I fell in love with them immediately, and them and Coach Roger Gagnon from North Tonawanda, he really helped me get into the freestyle and Greco aspect of it. I went out to Fargo a few times, and yeah, from there I my wrestled for my first state title and my sophomore year out of Wilson. I had lost, tragic loss there, and I kind of realized, hey, there's bigger and better places I can go. I can stay at this tiny school and maybe not get any recognition, or I can put my best foot forward and find a place and surround myself with people who want to win and want to succeed. And that's why I chose St. Francis, because I knew my buddies were going there, and I said, "Hey, they're going there. I'm going there."
And that must have been something truly special, and we can even see it behind you as well for people who want to take a look. The singlets and everything. You were a two-sport athlete as well, with football and wrestling. You know, that must have been something truly special for you to kind of make that decision, for yourself, making, like you said, that's an hour drive for you that you're making every day. And that's not easy, especially someone in high school. Sometimes there are adults who don't even make that kind of travel for work. And you're doing that in high school, for your sport that you love so much. And, you knew that St. Francis is where you wanted to be. How was that experience for you being a Red Raider in your time there academically, athletically? Share a little bit about some of your experience as being a Red Raider.
Oh yeah, so my Red Raider journey started quick. Like after my sophomore season, I reached out to talk to the football coach and said, "Hey, I want to go there, and I'm going to play football, and I'm going to wrestle, and I'm going to be your starting center for football." He was like, "Yeah, man, we love it." Blah 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 blah. He didn't know me at the time, And then like I got there, the guys there treated me so well. Like the best group of men I've ever been around. Starting my junior year, I love every single one of them, and I talk to them still to this day. That brotherhood at St. Francis, nobody knows. Like you don't know until you experience that. Like being part of something bigger than yourself. Like there's
100%.
nothing else like it. And like the academics, you are challenged every day. It's hard. It's not easy. You gotta wear clothes, you gotta dress up, it's a lot of responsibility. And it's great for me, I think. It's where I want to be. I want to be challenged every day, and I think it speaks for itself.
100%. And like you said too, like it kind of I feel like a lot of our schools challenge you to get ready for that work life when you approach adulthood. Like you said, even though you may not always
Yep.
want to, but putting on that uniform in the morning, like being able to put on that suit and tie when you work that corporate job, if some of our guys who end up doing that, not that you always want to
Yep.
be able to throw the uniform on for work, but sometimes you do it. You strap the boots up, you grit your teeth, and you get it done because you know it's how it gets the bills paid. It kind of gets you into that mentality of sometimes you got to do things because you need to, not necessarily because you want to. But you can always approach it in the best possible way. And obviously, with your experience at St. Francis, you had an amazing career. Like you said, state place finisher, finishing this year in second place, although it wasn't the result that you wanted. You finished amongst the best in the state at your weight class, something that many others can't say that they did. And now you're kind of looking forward to the next few years after. Another Mercyhurst Laker commit. Congratulations again. That's awesome. You're going to be joining your teammate Zach Caldwell at Mercyhurst too, which must be
Thank you.
exciting. Kind of being able to get in that next step in your journey with your Red Raider brother. Elaborate a little bit about that initial decision, uh, going, hey, I want to go to Mercyhurst, and a little bit about being able to join not only Caldwell, but another CHSA wrestler, Brett Crawford, as well from St. Anthony's. Seems like a little bit of a pipeline's being started there.
Yeah, so that's another funny story that I got. Um, so my youth football coach, his son went to my school, and then he went to St. Joe's, where some good wrestlers have come out of. And he went and played football at Mercyhurst. And he always told me how much he loved Mercyhurst and blah, 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 growing up as a little kid. And that they were D2 at the time. And he kind of got it like a little bit implanted in my head. Like that's always a school in mind. And originally I was committed to West Point, and I was all full blow on that. I love it. I still love it. And if it would have worked out, it would have worked out. But I've had some things come up where I kind of got excluded from that with my injury. But yeah, so I was outside. It was in some summer last year. I was sitting outside. I don't remember what I was doing. And Zach was Caldwell was working for this, I don't know, trucking company or tent company. And he lives like 30 minutes away from me. I'm sitting there out there all alone, and I see this big box truck pull my driveway. I'm like, what's going on? And it's Zach and Brandon Vandenberg, which I'm sure you know. He's
Yeah,
at
from
Fisher.
Canisius.
And yeah. And I've known him since I was little. I wrestled with him at some clubs and stuff. But yeah, so they pull up in my driveway and they're like, Willie, let's go work. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go hang out with them all day. And Zach's talking to me. This was before he committed. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to commit to Mercyhurst, blah, 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 blah. And while I'm with there, Coach Jimmy, overnizer, gives me a call. And from there, it went. And yeah, so I'm blessed to have that opportunity. This is kind of
How
weird. I don't know if it was God, what it was, but this all fell in line for me.
Oh, 100%. It's definitely got to be, the Lord works in mysterious ways, as the phrase goes.
He does.
You never really know how he's doing his work, but if you always put your next foot forward and just trust and lean that he does have your best interest at heart, because he does, everything will always fall into place the way that it should be. May not always happen overnight, may not always be a week, 2 weeks. Sometimes it does take a long time, but it'll come at the right time, and that's when it's important. Um, and how awesome must that have been for you to get that call with Zach next to you?
Yeah, it was funny.
Probably seeing the call being like, "Oh, Coach Overheiser," and he was like, "Oh, pick that up, pick that up, pick that up."
Actually, I let him answer it to mess with him. Zach was like, "Let me answer it." I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I let him answer it, and yeah, ever since there, I went on my visit. I love the school. I love the people. I love the culture. It's like a bigger St. Francis,
Yeah.
and I think I'll fit right in. I've got buddies that go there.
Yeah, 100%. And we had Coach Overheiser on the show as well. He's a great dude. He's building a great culture over at Mercyhurst, and they just recently got their women's team too and their women's coach. So there's a lot of great things happening over at Mercyhurst. You guys are, I'm sure, gonna have a great time over there, athletically and everything like that. Like I said, there's a great culture being made over there so far. And I think you guys are going to walk into an amazing setting, especially with Coach Overheiser in charge. Um, do you know what you're already going to be majoring in yet as far as your studies? Are you going in undecided?
Yep. So I'm going for an environmental sciences degree,
Nice.
and my reasoning for that is I like I said a few times, I live in the middle of nowhere. I live on work on farms. I've worked in family farms my whole life. And like that stuff interests me. And my goal is I don't know if you know what a game warden is, but they go out and they're like the state police for hunter and fishermen. So they go check hunting
Oh,
license, sure no animals are being poached, and everything's done legally. And I want a conventional job. I want to be on the road, always going, going, going. I don't want to sit in an office. I just want to keep pushing myself and bettering myself.
that's awesome. How did you initially know that that was a field you wanted to get into?
Yeah, so I hunt and I fish and I like fishing. I don't know if you can see my social medias. I post the fish I catch and it's a funny story because Tanner Catcherbone and Zach Mazzaro and Griff they all love to hunt and fish as well. So
Oh,
even
nice.
when we're not wrestling, we're hunting and fishing together. So it's always been since I was little. I've always wanted to be that.
That's sick. That's sick. That's something that's awesome, dude. And I really hope that that all works out for you. And obviously, if you need anything from us, we always support our CHSA athletes, especially as they go into college. So this is not the end of it by any means. So we're always here for you. Um, and what are some of those other things? Obviously, like you mentioned, that career path and everything. Anything else that you're looking forward to accomplishing and getting to do, especially as you approach your collegiate journey?
Yeah, that last question, I couldn't hear it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Um, Especially as you
Yep.
start to approach, your collegiate journey. What are some other things you're looking forward to do, accomplish, and possibly try out?
Yeah, I can't wait to get down there and meet the guys. We got a training camp coming up soon. Um, I loved my visit. I loved everything about it. I'm redshirting my first year due to my injury, and I just can't wait to get healthy, get back on the mat, maybe wrestle some style, some Greco. I love that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And hey, the Lord's got the plan for me. I just got to follow it. Got to strap up and go.
Yes, sir, 100%. And obviously, like we talked a little bit about before, you kind of been through it all, the local scene, the state scene, the national scene, um, and you kind of accomplished a little bit of it all as well along the way. Eastern States champion, like we mentioned before, New York State medalist as well. Um, what can you share as far as advice to maybe the younger guys, maybe in middle school, who may not know what high school they're looking to get into, possibly considering St. Francis, and maybe looking to accomplish some of the things that you have already done and may not know how to go about it or what to do?
Yeah, I would just say set daily goals for yourself. Set small little things that you can achieve. But in the grand scheme of things, you're a high school kid, you're a middle school kid, you're a young kid. Go be a kid, go have fun, go hang out with your buddies. But you set those little goals and you can do anything you put your mind to. If you just work towards those little goals that you set for yourself daily. Like I set daily goals and I just work to them. And they all add up to something bigger than you can even imagine when
And what is um something that Big Will lives by that helped him get through some of that stuff?
You just got to put your left foot in front of your right and keep going. There's not much choice you got. You just got to keep fighting. And I've always fought. I've had adversity, but you just got to fight through it. And hey, you'll end up on top.
100%, brother, 100%. Um, and do you have anything you'd like to share for the people at home? Any last words? Any experiences that you'd like to share, or anything at all for the people who've been watching at home who are looking forward to seeing what you do next?
Yeah, I just want to thank the people that have gotten me to the place I've been. There's been hundreds of people along the way, but the sacrifices my parents make to get me to this school, my mom has to drop my dad off before working her job. My dad works every o overtime opportunity he can, and I am so thankful for them. Without them, none of my success would have been possible. My athletic trainers, they have been what has gotten me through. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to play football. I wouldn't have been able to get scholarship opportunities for both sports. Without them, nothing would have been possible. And lastly, my coaches. My coaches sacrifice so much. I don't know many other coaches that sacrifice as much as they do. They all got young kids. They're all traveling all over the country, and I couldn't be more thankful for them. And to thank you guys for what you guys do with you and Matt O'Rourke with Western New York at wrestling. Like they are help build that sport, and I want to see the sport expand. I want us, New York, to be in the rankings instead of being a team push to the or a state push to the side. I
Yeah,
want us to be up there with PA, New Jersey.
100%, brother, and we truly appreciate that. And like we said, we're always going to continue to support you. So you going to Mercyhurst isn't going to be the last thing that we see of Will Wortkoetter by any means. So we'll always be there to support you as well. And definitely we want to see New York grow. We're a state that deserves the recognition. And especially with how New York did this recent national tournament across all divisions. I mean, we had a big showing at D1. We're right there. We're right there. We're on the cusp of really,
Mhm.
going through that ceiling and really introducing ourselves on a grand scale of like, hey, there's a lot of great wrestling here in New York. A lot of nationally ranked guys are going to start coming out of New York. It's a culture that's really starting to be built, and it's awesome, and I can't wait to see it all start to come out. And
Yeah, and like I've been in the national rankings. Griff's been in the national rankings.
mhm,
Guys on the team have been in the national rankings. It's a great feeling to surround yourself with those guys, and that's just what helps fluster everything and keep it growing and growing and growing and helping the state.
yeah, 100%. It's that iron sharpens iron mentality. You know what I mean? Like, you're only going to get better as your next best guy. And if you guys keep going and keep
Yep.
striving to make each other better, then that's how the whole room gets better. It takes multiple people. It takes a village. It takes more
Yes,
than
it
one
does.
guy in the room to step up and be like, "Hey, like this is something we all could achieve. Like let's just get our heads in it and put our head down and start working." And the CHSA is starting to build that name up for New York. You know, we only had 14 qualifiers, 13 made the podium, and we finished second as a section, and St. Francis won the title. Now think of what we can do if we get more than one guy at each weight. That's something that
Yep.
completely changes the landscape of the tournament.
And that's some of the stuff that I think is funny too. It's like we want to kick CHSA out of the tournament. Okay, if you kick us out of the tournament, I go back to my public school and I take a spot away from somebody else in my section. You know what I'm saying? So there's less athletes that go there. I think if anything, you add more for the CHSA. You want more competition. You want the best kids to compete in that tournament. It's a New York State Championship. You want the best to compete.
100%. And like I wouldn't like if I won the state tournament, I wouldn't like, and this is maybe just me and like the type of mentality I had, I wouldn't be too happy calling myself a state champ knowing that the best guys weren't at my weight, like whether it was because the committee told them they couldn't compete or whether it was due to some other outside, circumstance that they couldn't get into the tournament. Sometimes things happen like, with us, sometimes we have, our one bid qualifiers, like Tavio last year, um, holding the number one ranking, losing in the sectional finals, but there's no wild card for him to get in. You know, he's someone that if we were able to have
Yep.
him and George in the tournament, probably both end up in the top three in the tournament that year. You know, we also had with Brett, Brennan Sprague, up until he won this year. So many names we can just go down the list. Jonathan Hoffman a few years ago. Um, so many names, guys who, if we even had one extra guy in the tournament, the results are much higher than they already were. And like I said, I wouldn't feel too comfortable calling myself the best if I didn't have the best there to compete with. There's guys who are getting into the tournament with like a negative-ish record. How are you, like, you know what I mean? Like, not that we're knocking certain other athletes and things like that, but when you kind of look into those things in consideration, it's like, how are you the best of the best when there are other people that aren't in the tournament that are clearly better, you know?
Yeah, it's a grueling tournament, and I would never want to discredit anybody for winning that
Right.
state title. Like that's been one of my goals since I was little. And like I said, never want to just like this on somebody who won a state
Right.
championship. But there's obviously work that's got to get done if we want to compete with these other states. Stuff's got to change, and there's only one way to do it. It's by voicing their opinions.
100%. 100%. And I think that we're definitely heading in that right direction. Everyone's letting everyone know, like, hey, this is some great stuff happening here in the CHSAA. You know, we need to have their back too. And I think a lot of people, especially outside of our section, are starting to support us and starting to really um, show that support too. And I think that's going to go a little bit of a long way. Um, and I think we're going to start to see some hopefully positive things in the next few years from our section. Hopefully, hopefully.
Yep, I agree, and I love everybody in our section. I love the Iona Prep coaches, the Faro coaches, the Kellenberg guys. Like that, you guys are out there all the time. Those tournaments are my favorite. I love
It's
those
awesome.
tournaments, listening to everybody talk and get around. It's awesome. Coach Deagle, Coach, all of
Oh
them.
yeah.
They're funny. They're funny guys.
Oh yeah, they're hilarious, dude. And it was like, and it was something that I was happy about, like being able to put together like that behind the scenes video so people can kind of see glimpses of
Yeah.
that. Like no one else is praying together before the tournament starts. Even though that we're from different teams, like we're helping each other out. Like a few of the other coaches jumping in, going like, "Oh, hey, keep an eye out for like even just coaching each other." Like we spent the whole season coaching against each other, and then we spend a weekend obviously coming together in a brotherhood and sharing the same goal. And like you said, it's just an experience that not too many people get to see. Um, and just to be able to like crack the jokes, shoot the crap with each other, play the jungle ball in the locker room, just take the nerves off and forget that it's a state tournament and that it's just another tournament, you know? And I think that is creating something beautiful here.
And, and that like and that attests to the Yeah, and that attests to like the culture that our school builds, all the other Catholic schools build. Like we were hanging out in the locker rooms playing hacky sack and foursquare with all the coaches and everybody from these other schools. It's just that culture we have and everybody else has that we surround ourselves with.
Right. And like I said, you're not going to find that anywhere else. You want to find brotherhood, you want to find a faith-oriented brotherhood, come to a CHSAA school. Doesn't matter which one. You're upstate in Buffalo, we got St. Joe's Collegiate, we got St. Francis, we got Canisius, St. Mary's. You'll find brotherhood in any one of those schools. You're in our Nassau, Suffolk area, guess what? We got St. Anthony's, Kellenberg, Chaminade,
Yep.
Holy Trinity, amazing brotherhoods in those schools. Doesn't matter where you go. You're gonna find your people, you're gonna find like-minded people, and you're gonna find for the most part a great positive experience. You know, um, even though I'm wearing it, like the crosses, we don't have these just for show. This is who we are as people. We really do try to carry a faith-led lifestyle. We don't do it just for show. We do it because we truly care about each other and the people that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah, and
And
I would say to anybody, any parents or anybody my age or younger, especially younger, if you want to challenge yourself and become a true Renaissance man and be the best you can be, take that challenge. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Challenge yourself and you'll be forever thankful.
100%. And like my personal experience, like I would never have been able to go to Farrell had it not been for wrestling. Like it wouldn't have even been a possibility for me, you know? And I know that there's a bunch of other people out there who, whether it's for sport or a coach or somebody who entered their life, you know, like for us it was Coach Ham and, you know, those those people, those reasons for getting into wrestling and to being able to go into our schools, like they hold a long impact on your life. Um, and it just goes to show that like we're not we don't always go to these schools just because we're all able to afford it, you know. Sometimes it's situations that we happen to land in and we make the most out of it. Like you said, you take an opportunity that's given to you. My brothers and I were given an opportunity to be able to attend Farrell, something that we never would have been able to do beforehand, and we took that gamble, and it was something that paid off for us. You know, um, maybe originally for you, that option for St. Francis wasn't always available, but when you were given that opportunity, you took it, and it paid off for you. You know, so maybe a lot of people can find inspiration in these stories and in these experiences and be like, hey, maybe it's a little less scary if I do take that chance because there are people who really did make the most out of it.
Yeah, and it's what you make out of it. You can do as much as you want to do, or you can do as little as you want to do. You can be as deeply involved in your faith, spirituality, arts, music, etc., sports, or you can just be a student. But no matter what you do, it is a change that will impact you for the rest of your life for the positive.
100%. And for me, those are the last words that I'll have before we log off for tonight. Um, I was your host, Daniel Adams. And if there's anything you'd like to say to the people at home before signing off, if not, then I was
Nope, I think that's about it for me. Thank you again, and it was a pleasure to be on this, and I'm so thankful for what you're doing. I know it's lagging, but
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure I was trying to give it an extra second. And like I said, I truly appreciate it. Like I said, this isn't going to be the end by any means. If anything, just the beginning. We'll always continue to support you. So we're always just a message away. If there's anything you need, just never hesitate to reach out to us. Okay.
yeah, thank you so much, and God bless you for what you do and
Thank you.
help these kids, help me, and help these other athletes out.
Of course. God bless you too, brother. Like I said, we don't throw around the word brother and family for nothing. We do try to create one big red and black family, one big CHSA family. So we do try to just have each other's best interest at heart, you know.